Today we are in conversation with the woman behind a lot of movies that you, I'm sure, have seen, and literally the woman behind these movies, and the list is endless, like Drishyam, Manto, and we have with us art director Rita Ghosh. Welcome, Rita.
Thank you so much, Girish, for having me, and it's a great opportunity to share my experience.
I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. So, Rita, how did you actually opt for the profession of art direction?
This art direction term I wasn't aware of long time back. Of course, but I would say that my journey started long time back. When I was kid, like I was in the 5th or 6th standard, I used to go to hobby center, drawing school, art school, we used to call it. And every Sunday you go there, right? So there's something like you go for dance and art school and all. So slowly I started liking art, the colors and the shape, forms, everything, whatever we used to do. 10th and then after 12th. In 12th, when I was in my college, so I used to do all these illustration poems and magazines. So one of my teachers, he told me that why don't you pursue further? And there's a college in Baroda, Fine Arts. So I was aware of, whether I take it as my profession or not, or should I study further with art or not. Then I started looking at things, and that's how probably I decided after my 12th that okay, I'm not going to continue with this, arts and BA, commerce or anything. I'll go for fine arts. That's where my journey starts, I guess. Then I was in Assam Fine Arts College. I was there for 1 year. Then I decided, no, it's not the place. I have to look for something else. Then I appeared for Baroda MS University. And after I did my graduation in applied art from there. During the course, I got to know about FTI. I got to know about NIT and all these places. So I thought, okay, take it further. So that's how I got into, after my graduation, I got into FTI and then production design, and then I started reading more about it. First I could to my profession.
Were you always a creative student?
Yes, I would say the performing arts mostly, like the dance, art and all these things.
So how did you decide to go backstage?
So when I joined film school, for me it was completely no art direction, what they actually do. All thing I know is art direction, okay, something related to art, okay, now I have to explore more. Then, of course, like film school, they don't want only when you start, so you have 1 year of course where you do everything, like right from camera, sound, art direction, or everything. And after that 1 year, you have a specialization course and you go into a specialization. So,
till then, probably if you see that I'm not a movie buff. At the time, I didn't watch movie much. Slowly, I, because I was in FTI, so I started seeing films and I started liking it. And this is how my journey started.
And I think building on something that you mentioned, that most people are not aware what an art director does. So
Yes.
if you could just elaborate that, because a lot of our viewers are also aspiring students. So it might just give them a direction.
So it's like the broader sense, if you see, it's production design. Production designer, a person who designs the look and feel of the film. Visually, whatever you see in a frame, that is production design. An art director, graphic designer, set decorator, this comes under production designer.
Okay.
This is how you segregate, like different people have their different job. So art director will be executing the ideas and the construction and everything. Set decorator will do the decoration part. There will be graphic designer who will be doing the design aspects, like whatever the signage is and all other small details they will do. And these are the segregation basically. If you talk about production design, so what is the difference between a production designer or an architect, interior, best part is you not only designing a house or you not only making beautiful sets or beautifying your frame. Yeah, it's beyond that. That is what the best part of production design, I guess. So first, when you get a script, that becomes your Bible, and your journey starts. So that's something. Script is something that you know all the information, right from the time period, your character, and all other aspects. So that is your starting point, and how you create that mood, and everything. So that is where the starting point starts.
And where did you begin your professional journey? Like, you understand your academic journey, but maybe what was your first
My
break?
was first film as an assistant art director with Rita Ghosh in Drishyam. Yeah. So yeah, that's my first film.
And any anecdotes from there?
The experience was there, and now it's completely different. Of course, I was assistant art director, then I became an art director, and now I'm a production designer. Yeah. The all journey is very different. Then I was looking at probably few things, maybe a graphic designer or a set decoration, but that's not the whole production design is. So then slowly I become art director, where I started looking all the economics and budget and everything. Then I became a production designer. So now I have a bigger things to do. So once we get the script, I read it, and then I have a base to start my work. Then we start with our research and everything. I have to understand my director's point of view and his vision, because this is not something I'm designing for myself. That's the difference between probably advertising or, the different art forms probably. So this is somebody else's vision, which I'm gonna make that world, to believable. And so I have to understand his vision and then start backwards, my research and everything. So we start from there. So for Manto, if you take, so it's a story based in 1940 to 52. So that's the time period, right?
Yeah.
So I do all the research. Now, of course, the research is it's much when you're doing a production design for a period film rather than a contemporary film. So everything you have to design, right from a matchbox or whatever, the signage and newspaper, whatever you see, even if sometimes the vehicles and everything you have to design, the street, apart from the interior and everything. So you put together with those things, drawings, and you have mood boards and color scheme throughout the film, how you want to give looks and what are the colors probably you don't want to use, or there are probably certain colors which you want to use before interval and after interval you don't want to use. So you discuss all this with the camera person and the DOP and the director, and the costume and everything, probably the VFX also, you know. So it's not something very personal. It's a mixture of so many people, like, you know, that's the fun of it probably. There's so many arts coming together and creating or designing for one film. And every person has their own perspective and their way of looking at things. And you have to serve, like, you know, you have to satisfy everybody's thing. And then you see one film. So,
But how do you go about this process? I mean, even if we look at the movies that you worked on, so one is, as you were saying, is happening in a very contemporary setting, and then one is happening probably in a very sort of a rural setting, and then something like a period film altogether. So how do you go about this research work? What you were saying, I mean, if we look at it, that entails immense amount of detailing.
yes, the best part also, I think the diversity in the script you work on, yeah, it gives you more exposure to know more about your culture, architecture, painting, and everything in detail. So, if I talk about Sonchiriya, I don't know whether you see that film or not, Abhishek Chaubey. So, that shot completely in Chambal. So the reason is completely new for me, and there are so many things we have to do there, and still the decorations and everything. It's not a work-friendly place, and you go there, you explore for completely different reason, right? You study, you go there. So how we start? We do a basic rating. What are we list down all our locations? What are the locations we have, and according to that we do a Reiki. So if we don't find places, like for example, say we had a climax scene, there were so many things, construction, a ruined construction we needed. It wasn't there in the revive. So we created that. There was a temple set up we needed in the field, open field. So it wasn't there. So we found a tree and we built the temple around with the house. So sometimes this is called location design. When you take a location and you add on certain things according to your script. That's a location design. And sometimes you build a set completely. That's a different aspect altogether. Probably there are so many factors why you design a set. Probably you don't want to go to Gujarat to shoot your film, and probably you have a constraint of budget and all other factors. You know, you don't want to fly too many people there, and also you want a convenient way of shooting. So you decide to do it in Bombay in a studio or a open space. So you take up that space and you create Gujarat in Bombay. Yeah, so that's another magic of cinema. So these are the different aspects. So you take location, probably which is ready, but things are not appropriate, so you add on probably property or whatever you add on according to your script. There are locations which you add on construction wise, that's a location design again. And then set construction, completely you creating a set from a scratch. So you design, plan and everything. So say for around, say you have a hero house here and then you go straight and then take a left and then you need market. So it's completely based on your script. So you plan accordingly and you design that way.
Oh, sounds extremely interesting. Like I had images of the movie Inception. So, but building on what you were saying right now, so how is it that you authenticate this kind of information that you're talking about? I believe it becomes more crucial when you're doing a period film.
Yes, of course. That is where I felt that why conservation is so much important for a society or a documentation, right? What wasn't there enough material was the time period, the 1940 to 52, the proper documentation of that era. whether it's architecture, whether other documentation, newspaper, or anything for that matter. You need so much information, and sometimes you have bits and pieces, and you don't have proper information. And few things, I think, what I found is British party few videos and Life magazine. The pictures were amazing. Um, and put together newspapers, you go to news archive and collect newspapers, but then also you realize that the material wasn't enough. So then you feel, okay, what we need to do probably is the documentation. And it's not always goes with like history or anything. So today, even present time, if you don't document what is happening or you don't conserve, this is, yes, future you won't be getting
will
this.
never do this.
Yes. This is what is missing. Yes.
I think that is something interesting, and I believe that is something we all should be taking up. People like
Yeah,
you, creative
because
professionals.
most of the places when I visit, you see that the design aesthetic and it's gone, and people they can, because it's my shop, I can put signages everywhere, So when I have to shoot in Gujarat street, so when I'm looking at the street, something it's bizarre, the wires and dish and that, like it's too many things, it's cluttered with too many things. So you know that we don't think before putting those things, because it's my shop, so I can do it the way I want. Yeah. It's not that like whether okay put it in a, there is no aesthetic sense to it. Actually.
But I guess that is what adds the flavor. If you look at it, like maybe the layering of, let's say, posters or pamphlets on say,
Yes,
public
of
walls
course.
in Gujarat, it's gonna be different from that in Mumbai or in Delhi. I think that also.
Yes, it's nice probably for this. When I was doing weird films, so I was looking for one street. If I get one street, one clean street at least, where we can add on things or make it look like that weird. Nothing was there, and there were so many good structures are falling apart, and people don't have value for that. It's that. It's the old structures what I'm talking about. It's they're renovating it, but in a different way altogether, like modern. And what is there, it's much more beautiful. That is.
Do this, like when you are traveling and then when you are doing all this research, do you also start coding things? I mean, in the process of creating a library for yourself?
Yes, now it becomes like a second nature, right? Earlier I used to look at things just for the sake of looking at. Now the point of view shifted. It's shifted because, as I said, so if I'm creating, say, any restaurant or a pawn shop or a clothing shop or a shoe shop or a street from Lucknow, Madhya Pradesh, or a rural village, every place has their own unique flavor, their touch, their texture, their color, the dominance, everything is different from each city. Yeah, and that is what I think I love about my job is you start reading a lot, referring more pictorial images, and you kind of visit those places, and your perception changes with time. And that's the beauty of production design probably. It adds on a lot of things. The more you visit, the more you visit and you see things, and every place is different. The same shop, probably a pawn shop or a barber shop, every place it will be different. The kind of talent they use, the kind of color you see, and the way the dressing, interior dressing is completely different. And also the best part is when I design something like this, or per se, a barber shop or something, So, not like what I like, the colors or not something I will, it's my design. So I have to think about what that person like, what kind of poster he will put, what kind of calendar he will use, what kind of comb he will be using, or if there's a flower vase, what are the flowers we'll be putting into it, or the way he probably dresses up his puja place, or anything, everything for the matter of the choice of interior color and the chair. So it's always like you be trying to understand his state of mind uh, and his taste and everything. So that is a different design journey altogether. It's not something I like this and this is what I like the texture and this that, but it's always like the content of the film and what your story demand is, and you accordingly do design.
So, Rita, tell me this, that when you're working on probably multiple movies of different structure or storyline parallelly, so how do you go about it? How do you sort of strike a balance? Like, if you're doing something in 1900s, you're doing something in, say, 2019, or maybe even with some futuristic movie you're talking about somewhere around life in 2050. So how do you sort of strike a balance?
Uh, I try not to do that because sometimes it becomes difficult, And although you try to switch on, switch off your things, like, okay, I'm working for this now, and after that I'll be working on that film. Of course, it becomes difficult because you can't, shut down your thinking or something you look at and you start with, okay, this is something okay I can use for that film, and this is something okay this goes with this film. It becomes really difficult for us to concentrate.
One project
One project at a time. It's the best thing to do. I would love to continue with that.
Now, because you have ample body of work under your umbrella, so what kind of movies interest you the most now?
Creative.
And why is that?
Also, what I like is doing realistic movies at first. I won't say I don't like contemporary or this, but there are much more to do in terms of the research. It's like ample amount of things which probably I haven't exposed to and I'm not even aware of. And that probably that film gives more of to read or to look at things, and things are not easy to find also, and create that whole world and transport. If I can transport people to that era, and it feels great. It feels great. If you take somebody to 1940, and also if you see a film, it's also documenting what a time, a particular time, culture, society, and everything, right? In a way, of course. That is also a part of documentation, right? So if you look back any old film or something, that becomes my reference point. Yes. So if there are good movies with good setup and everything, true to our culture or the time period and authenticity, then this will become a reference for somebody else probably after 20 years or 10 years, and that's something very exciting for me.
Also, who has been your inspiration, or who is being your role model that you look up to in terms of your work? And even other writers.
Yeah, and now I think my perspective has changed. I see everything as an art, everything. When I'm traveling and in every small detail. But I used to work with Samir Chanda. I assisted him for small period of time. And I used to like his work a lot, very realistic and everything. And few things he used to say, like observe, observe. You don't know, and store it. You don't know while designing when these things will suddenly pop up, and you will know, okay, I've seen somewhere, and this becomes your hard disk.
That's a nice way to put it. Your best work so far, or the work that sort of challenged you the most?
Manto and Sunchiriya.
Okay. For the same reasons that they were both
Yes,
created.
yes, Priya and Sonchega. I've done other films also, which is 1980, Red is 1980, but tough film. I like all my films, but of course, because I won't say that only the Priya film gives you, all the information of the fun part. Even the recent film is Most Wanted. So every film has its own challenge itself. Sometimes the location, you don't find the correct location the way you want, like the way written in the script. So every film is exciting in its own way. But what I like in Priya's film is the detailing and the things which you have to look for, procure things and put it together, probably the furniture and everything. So that becomes too many things to do research. So that's one part. Otherwise, all the films, like even if it's contemporary films, you have to do research and everything. But
Because now that our app and our website is going to be viewed by so many young students also. So, your word of advice or guidance rather to people who are aspiring to take up this profession?
I'd say that the kind of exposure you get in production design, not in terms of a professional aspect I'm talking about the way you travel, the interiors, villages, and you get to know all the cultures, the region, and their architecture, their way of living, their way of clothing, and everything. I don't know what other profession gives you that. Details so many, and for one small thing, probably just a house, but for that just one house, probably the house you creating for Harda or a Chambal, but you have to understand their psychology, right? It's not any house. So that's the challenge, and so many things. But to make that house, you have to study their backdrop, and you have to know everything. Then you can recreate that, a alternate reality or a world
Observing is the key.
solution. Yes.
Thank you so much, Rita. It was great having you here. And we wish you all the very best for all your upcoming work. And I think we'll definitely have you here soon.
Thank you so much.